Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Nike Mercurial Superfly 5 in the latest CR7 Chapter 3 Discovery colorway. Now inside the box I do include a string bag to go along with the shoes. The string bag is seaweed green in color. It has the same silver graphic that you're going to find on the lateral side of the actual shoe. Volt yellow Nike swoosh in the middle, CR7 branding there at the bottom, and then you have the 06, 08, 03 date right there on the side, which I'll explain a little bit more later in the video. Now, of course, along with that bag, you do get the shoes themselves, which I have right here in what is a very interesting colorway. Now, in today's video, we're going to take a detailed look at the colorway itself, and I'll walk you through all of the little intricacies and obviously the inspiration behind the design of this particular colorway. We're going to talk tech specs, performance, take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire video. If you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, there'll be a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $325 retail price. So if you're interested in a pair, a little pop-up on screen, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. And with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the colorway and explain the story behind the colorway, because this is chapter 3 of what seems to be a continuing series of signature colorways with a major story behind them for Cristiano Ronaldo. So colorway aside, this is just a regular pair of Superfly 5s. I want to make that 100% clear. There's nothing different performance-wise about this shoe whatsoever. The only difference is going to be the colorway itself. So, Chapter 3, Discovery. So this tells the story of basically Ronaldo being discovered, I guess by world football is the best way to put it. And the inspiration for this is one single game, 06, 08, 03. That represents August 6th, 2003. Ronaldo was playing for Sporting Lisbon at the time, a professional club in Portugal. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who I'm talking about. And that's when they played their game against Manchester United, where Ronaldo was spotted by Sir Alex Ferguson, the coach of Manchester United at the time. He was very impressed with his performance and therefore brought him to the club, kind of sparking Ronaldo's major professional career, if you will, putting the spotlight on him. And he's obviously been a superstar pretty much ever since. So that's the inspiration for this colorway. It does explain a little bit of this seaweed green color, and hopefully it's coming through on video. The seaweed green is very evident through the laces, as well as all the exposed Flyknit area that you see in the collar as well as the back of the shoe. On the medial side and pretty much everything else, you can see this part's completely covered up with more of a solid color to the actual Nike skin over top of the Flyknit. It does honestly, to me, look a little bit more black than it does green. You can see the contrast right there pretty easily, but I would say that in, I guess, most lighting environments, the shoes will look like black and Volt yellow, as opposed to seaweed green. The green tinge that this shoe has is very minimal, to say the least. Again, in really well lit situations, you can definitely see the green pretty clearly, but in a not so well lit area, it does look like a little bit more black than it does green to me. But that's, again, just a matter of the situation that you're actually playing in as far as how the color is going to look. Of course, they did use Volt yellow as a main accent color in the Nike swoosh, as well as in the Mercurial branding. The little date on the back is in Volt yellow as well. And then of course you get that medial side, kind of that standard Superfly split, which is actually in a different spot than when it would normally be, just because it's covered up by this little graphic here. So it's cut a little bit different, but nonetheless the medial side has that Volt yellow and I guess seaweed green kind of stripes going all the way through, and then it eventually fades into solid seaweed green, but what looks like black to me right here at the heel. You have the silver ACC branding, the sparkly CR7 logo right here on the medial side, which actually hides itself pretty well. I know not everyone's a huge fan of the big CR7 branding on any of his signature colorways, so they kept it pretty minimal this time around. That is that sparkle material that will wear away over time, and it is actually raised off the shoe. Hopefully you guys can see that it's not completely flush. Same thing goes for the Mercurial branding right here, which is a little bit unusual. It is actually kind of put on there, so there is potential for that to fall off over time. Just keep that in mind, but not something that's going to affect performance in any way. A little bit of kind of a lighter green, almost grayish green at the top of the collar, as well as the little detail that you see right there. The little stripes, or the little dots, sorry, that run horizontally with the stripes of the actual Flyknit material, those are all reflective dots, which is kind of a cool little detail. Same thing goes for these little stripes going down the back. They're silver, but they're also reflective. You can see the top ring of the sole plate is a very light gray, and then the bottom of the sole plate is majority white with your seaweed green Nike swoosh and the translucent Volt yellow studs. That's really my only gripe with this colorway in terms of the colors that they combined. I really think that the bottom sole plate, instead of being white, should have been black or even that seaweed green color. I think that would have looked a little bit better, but the white definitely doesn't look bad. The last little detail on the shoe, which actually is pretty cool, is on the insole. So I'll remove the insole really quickly and we'll get a look at that. You can see it's a standard Superfly insole, Volt yellow in color, but right here you're gonna see it says chapter 3, you have 0000 blah 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 11. So this is his 11th signature colorway that Nike has given him out of the general release signature colorways. He's had more than 11, but some of those were super limited edition that don't count in this collection. You have the August 6, 2003 date right there, CR7 with his signature, Nike swoosh right there at the bottom. And then you have a top-down view, an aerial top-down view of the Sporting Lisbon Stadium, which is called Jose Alvalade, if I'm saying that correctly. Hope I am, but I think that was a pretty cool detail that they did incorporate here on the insole. And you're going to find that on both shoes. It's the same on both. So that's pretty much it as far as the colorway itself is concerned. Let me know what you guys think of these down below in the comment section. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Why or why not? And with that being said, let's move on to the tech specs so we can learn a little bit more about the overall performance. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, aside from the colorway, these are no different than a regular pair of Superfly 5s. I want to make that abundantly clear. With that said, the Superfly 5 is a very good shoe, very popular for its performance capabilities, and really the fit and feel that it has on offer is pretty unique to this specific shoe. We're going to go over the basic tech specs that you should know in today's video if you're interested in a pair of these, but if you do want a little bit more info, I'll leave a pop-up on screen to my playtest video of the Superfly 5 where I talk about all the details and you get to see the shoes in action. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. Now with this shoe, the main reason why a lot of people are into it is for the Flyknit upper and the mid-cut design. There's two varieties of Flyknit on this shoe. One area that's more structured, the other area that's actually elasticated. So the structured area is what you see here covered by Nike skin. That's the more structured area that's going to be wrapping your foot, what's going to be making the majority of the contact with the ball, what's going to provide the lockdown responsiveness of this shoe. There's a lot going on in this particular area of the knitted upper. So you're going to have this interesting texturing that's immediately noticeable when you hold the shoe in your hand. Maybe not so much on this particular colorway, but it does have this kind of ribbed texturing to it, as you guys can see by the side profile. It's not super noticeable when you actually make contact with the ball, but when you run your finger along the upper, it's very, very significant. Basically, it's what they call their speed rib texturing. So there's a variance in thickness. At the thickest point, it's 2.5 millimeters, and then in between these little ribs, the thinner point is 1 millimeter. So there's a variation in thickness, but the end result is a shoe that does offer a very thin feel on the ball with a very slight amount of padded sensation just due to the knitted nature of the material itself. Nonetheless, if you're looking for a very premium barefoot feel from an upper that feels pretty soft on your foot and moves very naturally with your foot, it does have that sock-like sensation to a certain extent. That's kind of what you're getting here from the Superfly 5. The upper is also reinforced by way of flywire cables that are hidden within the actual speed ribs. It runs from the base of the sole into the lacing system, so around the laces, and then back down to the sole. So when you pull the laces tight, it pulls on all those individual cables and really does a good job of locking your foot in place inside of the shoe, giving you a nice responsive sensation. The structured area entirely is covered in a Nike skin top layer. It's basically a polyurethane layer that's there for two reasons. One, to protect the actual Flyknit, and two, to not leave the upper completely slick like it otherwise would be if it was just straight up knitted material. So it's not a grippy feel on the ball, but it's not completely slick either. It's kind of something there in between. Nothing really out of the ordinary. And then where the laces are positioned, which of course is down the middle of the shoe, you're going to have the elasticated section, which extends into the collar area. So This elasticated section, mainly the dynamic fit collar, it's one of the big things about this shoe. It's a very distinctive feature visually, I guess in terms of how it fits and feels as well, but there is no performance advantage to it. There's no ankle support from this. It doesn't restrict mobility in any way at all. It's there mainly as an extra layer of material, a collar if you will, that's attached to the shoe that does feel a little bit funny for the first couple wears. I guess for me, after about 20 minutes, you completely forget that it's there entirely, but everyone's experience will be a little bit different. But again, there's no performance benefit here. It's just an extra piece of material that extends from the upper that happens to be attached to the rest of the shoe. So while it's a cool thing, while it does impact the fit in the heel, something I'll talk about a little bit later in the video, again, there's no performance benefit to owning a mid-cut shoe over a low-cut shoe. It's just something that's a little bit different that seems to be quite popular right now, which is kind of why Nike is going with it. I'm sure a lot of you guys that are hardcore CR7 fans actually know that he doesn't wear this particular version. He wears a modified kind of lower variation of the collar itself. That's besides the point though. Inside, you're going to find an internal heel counter at the back. You have a smooth synthetic liner on the inside with a decent amount of padding. You guys got to look at the removable insole already. And then moving on to the bottom, the sole plate. One of, I think, the best features of this shoe, the top-end Mercurials in general, be it the Superfly 5 or the Vapor 11, is the Nike Plate sole plate. So this sole plate is actually one single layer of material that they're able to produce using a special vacuum forming process. So because of this single layer manufacturing process, it allows them to eliminate weight, which does bring down the weight of the shoe a little bit. And it also allows them to add shape to the bottom of the sole plate because it isn't multiple layers of material. Now, what they've done is they've given it kind of an anatomically shaped bottom. So if you can imagine this table and my hand being a foot, so the table being the bottom of the sole plate, my hand being the foot, a normal sole plate would be completely flat like this table. So when pressure is applied from side to side, when you're cutting, for example, there's potential for your foot to slide on top of that flat base of what would normally be the sole plate. With this particular shoe, there's little spots where your foot kind of sits into the sole plate ever so slightly. I know that sounds very extreme, but it's not quite as extreme as you might expect. It's not uncomfortable, it's noticeable, that's for sure, but nothing that feels out of the ordinary. You get used to it very quickly is kind of what I'm getting at. So if you can imagine my hand, again, as a foot, the table being the base of the sole plate, kind of sinking into the table ever so slightly. When that pressure is applied from side to side, my hand's not gonna move, my foot's not gonna move, it's kind of sitting in the sole plate ever so slightly, just giving you a very connected sensation, and again, preventing any kind of excess movement from your foot inside of the shoe. So very locked down, very connected, and really the Superfly 5 is one of the most responsive shoes out there at the moment, while still maintaining a pretty comfortable feel. Flexibility from the sole plate is also above average, I would say. Next, we of course have the stud pattern, this being the firm ground variation, which is kind of typical Mercurial. It's all bladed studs. The studs have this chevron shape. And what's interesting this time around is that they went with studs that are all the same size and pretty much all the same length. The only thing that's different is where they're actually positioned and of course the angle that they're positioned at. And the end result is a very, very aggressive stud pattern. On firm natural grass, you're really gonna find nothing else that bites quite as aggressively as this one does. And if you've worn Mercurials in the past, you kind of know what to expect from this stud pattern. Although I will say I think this is their best go at a firm ground stud pattern yet. Really good bite, really good grip in pretty much any direction. And again, if you're just looking for aggressive traction in general, you're not going to be disappointed with what these have on offer. In terms of weight, the Superfly 5 is pretty light, so for the sake of the video, I'm going to weigh them for you today in real time using this scale. Keep in mind that this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. Going to throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 6.75 ounces, the equivalent of 191 grams. So just under the 7 ounce mark, which like I said, is very, very light, lighter than most shoes. And again, if you're looking for that super tight, locked in, responsive, very lightweight sensation, you will get that from the Superfly 5. All right, so here is a look at the shoes on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock green laces that come with the shoes that are also reflective, by the way. Not sure if I mentioned that earlier. And on my right foot, I have a pair of neon yellow reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, they're a very pretty tight fitting shoe as you would expect from a high-end Mercurial model, and just the Mercurial line in general. That's kind of what it's always been about, and the Superfly 5 stays true to that. You get a nice tight fit throughout the entire foot, but at the same time, because of the fly-knit upper, it has good flexibility to it, and once you get used to the feel, it does offer that sock-like sensation. Of course, being a mid-cut model, the fit in the heel is a little bit unusual, or at least different from a standard low-cut shoe, so it does take a little bit of getting used to. It's recommended that you break them in a little bit more slowly and just kind of be more careful than you normally would with a standard low-cut pair of shoes. Not recommended to wear them straight into a game or straight into a free kick session or something like that. But after a couple hours of kind of light use, just getting used to the shoes, you should be pretty well good to go in these things with minimal discomfort. As far as the width is concerned, like I mentioned, it is a tighter fitting shoe, and given that Flywire cables run pretty much throughout the entire upper, you're really not going to get much stretch out of it. So for the most part, the way it fits out of the box is the way they're going to fit for their entire lifespan. So again, if you have wide feet, not the best option for you. And also the actual sole plate itself, a lot of people ask how that affects the width and just general comfort of the shoe. It is noticeable. You definitely do feel like you sit inside the sole plate ever so slightly, but it's not uncomfortable in any way. And again, it's something you get used to very, very quickly. As far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of these for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. Alright guys, that's it for my review of the CR7 Discovery Nike Mercurial Superfly 5. If you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, be sure to check out the review page on my website. You can do that by either clicking the first link down below or the little eye in the corner of the screen. And of course, on that page, you will find Buy It Now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these guys up below their normal $325 retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. If you have any questions regarding this shoe, leave them down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.